Deactivate.
All right, everybody, welcome to This Pink Cloud.
That one's super loud.
There we
The rest
go.
of them aren't.
There we go. I am DJ Kelly Reverb. I am Arispus, and you have tuned into This Pink Cloud. Now, that's this brown cloud. But anyway, dad joke.
That was so funny.
Anyway,
Kelly
but thanks.
Reverb. Oh my God, you're so funny.
Thank you for
How
tuning in.
did you get so funny?
Thank you for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe, like, all that good stuff. Sorry about last week. We had the power outage, which was always interesting. And then we also had our guest here, Neal. We're doing take 2 of his episode, so it's like I'm going to be your yeah, right, exactly.
Take 1 was really good, but take 2 is about to be better.
Yeah, exactly, dude.
We're gonna have to be.
We're gonna know
So Natsley had to date twice.
We're gonna know so much about you. It's gonna be we're like your therapist now.
I know.
Yeah.
So you better have some feedback.
Right.
Keep it to yourself there.
Hey, so sitting in with me to my left, ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Chad Lamont.
That was sick, dude.
Yeah. How have you been, dude?
Good.
Cool.
I'm good. I'm
Right.
good.
All right.
I'm good.
Well, cool.
I'm good.
Good.
You're not my dad. Don't
Hey,
ask me questions like that.
Thank you. Okay, I won't.
Okay.
Anyway, but like I said earlier, I'm glad you could make it back.
Thank you.
You know, he is
for having me.
an author. I can say
I
that,
am.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
dude.
I can say that too.
And you are also the I guess the CEO or the whatever you want to say, the inventor of Elevated Life Academy, and we'll get
Lifestyle
into Lifestyle
Yeah.
Academy, and we will get into that and talk about that more.
Cool.
But ladies and gentlemen, Neal Williams.
Thank you guys for having
Yeah, thank you for coming out.
me. Yeah, absolutely.
So what we normally do is
Start from the beginning, right?
Yeah, backstory.
He's already got it, dude.
You've been
He's
here
been
before.
Well,
around this block before.
The best part about this is every time you tell it, you realize how much nonsense you say.
Yeah.
You're like, dang, thank goodness I get to do that again, trim the fat.
Right.
Seriously, every time I talk about it, it's like I said a bunch of stuff I didn't need to say.
Right.
But I think that's just kind of the tone of my life.
Sure.
sometimes.
It's how it goes, man. You're
Right.
a busy guy, and, you don't always have time to script it.
No.
You know what I mean?
No, and I don't do very well. I think I've done one speech. I did a speech in high school.
Right.
And I think that was the only time I ever actually wrote a speech and followed it. So, but yeah, I'm from Dallas-Fort Worth, so this
Okay.
is home for me.
Ow.
And I was born in Bedford, Texas, which is about 30 minutes from where we're sitting right now.
Right.
I went for preschool, I went to a place called St. Timothy, so I was in Mother's Day Out.
I was too, man.
Really?
Shout out Mother's Day Out.
Yeah, it's just like what do you really do in preschool anyways?
Yeah, you just get away from your mom.
Right. So we just had like activities and
Right.
stuff, but it was 5 days a week.
Sure.
But it was at this little Catholic church, or I think it was Catholic.
Yeah.
Anyways, St. Timothy.
Yeah.
And then from there I went to kindergarten at a school called Covenant Christian Academy, and I was there all the way through 6th grade. And so I was in a I don't want to say it was super protective because my parents weren't like that. They weren't overbearing. They were pretty cool.
Right.
And we played team sports and played with the kids in the neighborhood. So I always had friends. I was connected to reality. I
Sure.
wasn't sheltered, but we
Right.
spent a lot of time in church. We were in a private Christian school, and most of our friends went to church as well.
Sure.
The only ones who didn't were neighborhood friends or on our sport teams and stuff like that.
Right.
I say that because we kind of got a healthy dose of normalcy, and also I had plenty of friends who weren't allowed to watch TV.
Right.
They weren't allowed to listen to anything
I had
secular.
I had a couple of those friends
Did
that
you?
it was like, oh yeah, you can't watch Happy Days, and I'm like, what, dude? It's the Fonz.
Hey.
You know?
No, I had a friend. He was only allowed to watch preaching on TV, and there was this Christian show called Pecos Bill.
Wow.
And
That's rough, dude. No prices, right? No cartoons.
How did that work out
dude.
for him?
Dude, he's a great dude. He turned out really well.
Because there's 2 very different ends of the spectrum that
Yes.
tends to end up in.
So the other thing you get when you go to private schools is there's a lot of kids who do a hybrid, the homeschool kids.
Right.
or kids who have been homeschooled until they're like 16, and all of a sudden they show up and they're like, "Hello."
It's like
Right.
Rumspringer, baby.
Yeah, I mean, it's like they come from an Amish community almost. So
yeah.
it's pretty
It's
shocking.
like culture. Yeah, culture shock.
Right. But those are, and so I look back on those times. I have good memories, and I had a pretty good experience in the private school environment. I started getting in trouble. The first time I drank or did anything for that matter was probably 6th grade. I stole. No. What grade are you in when you're 11? Is that 4th grade?
I think 11 is 5th.
4th or 5th
grade?
Yeah, 5th.
Okay, I know I was 11.
Right.
Stole some liquor, didn't get drunk, but drank and felt the cool buzz.
Right.
liked
What was it?
There was Tanqueray. There was dry gin.
There you go.
There's
All the
Sapphire
stuff you
Dry-
could borrow from your parents' bar.
Yeah, and it was gross.
Right. Yeah.
My mom had acquired a taste for liquors that kids don't like.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I
Right.
drank all of them at once.
I don't know if there's liquors that kids actually do like.
I
Not
thought
true.
of it. Well,
Not true,
maybe-
now there's Hot Damn.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Rumplemintz.
Dude, back
yeah.
in
Well,
when I
now
was a
there
kid,
is, yeah.
when I was a kid, I found Midori.
Oh yeah, I
in the
guess
liquor
Midori,
cabinet,
yeah.
and I mixed it with Mountain Dew.
What's Midori?
Midori's like a
Midori's like-
green liqueur.
Right,
Okay,
yeah,
I've
yeah,
seen
yeah.
it.
Yeah, and I
They use
mixed
it
it
as
with
a
Mountain
mixer.
Dew, and I was just like, "Oh my god, dude, this is
Forever.
fantastic! Let's drink the rest of the bottle."
So triple sec too.
Oh, dude, yeah.
Well, triple sec is
Ugh.
actually not alcohol. Triple sec is.
There's no alcohol in it.
no. That's something you.
Well,
mix
you
it-
put.
yeah.
I'll put
I probably
triple sec
made
in
that
anything,
mistake.
baby.
It's a
I probably drank a bunch of
Right,
triple
you're
sec
like
one
triple
time,
sec.
thinking I was getting drunk.
Yeah, or like
I
drinking.
got so messed up drinking
Dude, I
triple
got,
sec.
I got
dude.
so messed up drinking grenadine.
The placebo drunk.
Right,
We all
yeah.
know that one.
Sure.
So really, it started out as pretty harmless. I was an athlete, and so there wasn't a whole lot of free time. And in the beginning, it was I drank with the intention to change the way I felt. I got what I was looking for. I didn't have any real consequences, so I knew I would do it again.
Right.
That's how it started. You know, I smoked a joint at a concert, at a Green Day concert, enjoyed it,
Right.
had a good time. I love music. I love being at the shows. So I was already doing something I enjoyed, and it amplified the moment. So I was like, damn, not only did this fix, not only did the drinking fix that discomfort, anxiety, it gave me warmth, it made me relax,
Right.
it made me have a good time. This stuff also made the concert way better.
Right.
And me and my buddy had a great time. Again, no consequences. Like I have a DD, you know, my mom.
Right.
I'm a freaking preteen, and so no real consequences. It's solving my problems. It's making things better. And so I just started to work that in between big games, between seasons. Like whenever I could do stuff like that recreationally, we would.
Right.
First time I got in trouble, I was 14. Me and two of my friends, their older brother bought us a bunch of beer. So we sat around drinking Keystone Light and Heineken all day,
There you go.
and then we're walking home.
It took me a long time to develop a taste for Heineken, and
It's
it was strictly
disgusting.
because it tasted like weed.
Okay.
Right. It tastes
You know what I mean?
It tastes
kinda
it's that
does.
It
hot.
just tasted
kinda
like
does.
straight up weed.
Yeah, it
dude.
tastes like somebody's pocket.
And it was after I quit smoking weed, and I think that's why I ended up liking it.
So my buddy, his older brother who got us the beer, they're from up north, and
Yeah.
because they brought a 6-pack of Heineken, I was like, who bought this? Like,
Right.
Why
Yeah.
are we drinking Heineken? That was probably the last time I drank Heineken.
right.
Be getting Southerners to buy my beer from now on.
Sure.
Hell yeah, Natty Light, baby.
Right.
That's right, dude. Lone
Was
Star, baby.
Back then it was Keystone for us.
Yeah.
And then my
Milwaukee's
buddy's mom
Beast.
was a NASCAR fan. So
Oh,
she
dude.
had Natty Light.
Yeah,
Yeah.
baby.
16. She had the
There
tall
you go.
boy stocked.
Yeah.
There we
all
go.
the time.
Nice.
So that's how it started. It was partying and stuff. Moving into high school, sports get more serious. So I was still playing sports, was really into it. But the problems that I was ignoring were getting more intense.
What was the problem? Like, I mean, are you talking usage or?
Well, no. So I had, I've never really liked, I always had a negative self-image. I was in a position to where people expected me to be confident, but I didn't feel confident.
Right.
I didn't have an issue finding a girlfriend, but I thought I was pretty damn ugly.
Uh-huh.
Right.
Right.
And I was good at sports, but I thought I should be way better.
Right.
And
And
yet-
whereas everybody else probably perceived you as the most popular kid in school.
Right.
Right?
Right.
I
Yeah.
can totally see it.
And
Yeah.
so-
Yeah, that's we run into that a lot, dude.
Yeah.
Like it's always like super like good-looking people and super like popular and energetic people,
Yeah,
and they're
and, like,
like,
people, yeah.
I'm not enough, and then
Right.
you run into it's a really weird
Well,
thing.
It's really weird what goes through everybody's head
Yeah.
because, everybody feels insecure. I mean, even George Clooney probably at some
yeah.
point was, awkward. And, well, he had Bell's palsy, so he did
Right.
feel insecure. So, but
And then what do you say to someone who's convinced that you are, but you're just doing it to be like that?
Yeah.
Right.
That's when it's just like, okay, I'm sorry. I'm just like fucked up in the head.
Right.
Like, I don't know what to tell you.
Sure.
And so all that stuff was becoming increasingly distracting. It
Mhm.
was like taking more and more of my attention. I'm certain I have clinical depression. It runs in our family. And so these things were real. Some of these things were real.
Mhm.
The anxiety and the depression and these unhealthy thoughts and just the negative self-talk and the nightmares. I had a lot of nightmares that started when I was like 8.
Oh.
And one was a reoccurring dream.
Uh-huh.
And so I would share that. I shared it with my family. I went to therapy. And so there were some things these were the reasons that I started looking
For solutions.
Right.
Right.
And I found my solution in a baggie and in a bottle and whatever.
Right. Mhm.
So moving into high school, again, I'm enjoying sports, but the use is getting more frequent every weekend now. And then in 9th and 10th grade, I'm smoking weed every day.
Right.
And started getting in more trouble at school.
Right.
And they still didn't connect the two because I wasn't necessarily getting caught all the time.
Right. And you were still like Mr. Athlete.
Right.
Too. Yeah.
I was still
You were
doing better
presenting
than
well.
the norm.
Yeah.
Right. Even given my problems and missing school or not turning in stuff, my grades were still okay.
Mhm.
And I was still doing better than that kid. So it was like,
Right.
yeah, you must
Yeah,
be
yeah,
all
yeah.
right.
Yeah, that's that comparison thing too, right? Like
Right.
you're comparing yourself to all the people that you think you're not good enough, but you're also comparing yourself to people that aren't as good as you, and you're just like floating somewhere in that in between, and it's like it's like a identity crisis kind of thing.
When just like I was saying, I thought I should be better. I was good at sports. I thought I should be better, but I was also unwilling to commit.
Yeah,
Right.
I wasn't willing to put in the hard work.
I'm just gonna lay right in that
Right.
middle, dude.
like
as long
feeling
as,
entitled
Yeah.
to some. It was
Yeah.
some weird stuff when I look back on it. And as time would go on, I found out that I have a predisposition to drugs and alcohol.
Mhm.
There's something in me that says I want more. There's
Right.
something in me that says we need more. We need something else. And when we're done, we're not done. We'll be done when I can't see straight or can't walk.
Yeah.
Or
Right.
I'm asleep.
Sure.
And then when I wake up, I need to find something to get me back there as soon as possible. And so I started to quit. I started to have to leave and find other schools. I was being asked not to come back to the private school. So the Christian schools were no longer willing to tolerate me and my behavior. So then
yeah, because I remember you said they weren't kicking you out, but you would talk them out of kicking you out, but they would ask you to not show back.
Right.
I would like to think that I talked them out of it. This is the truth. They told my parents that they were not kicking us out. So they would just like us not to return.
Right.
Like, we just don't want
Right.
you to come back. Please keep your money next year.
Right.
And so I went to another private school, lasted a semester, and after the semester, I was like,
So how many schools did you bounce around to? Would you say
six high schools.
Oh wow.
Yeah, 5 or 6 high schools.
And that was in how long of a
4
time
years.
period? 4 years. Okay.
4 years. Yeah.
Right. And did you graduate on time?
No.
Okay.
So I didn't graduate on time because my junior year, I got into taking pills. I found Xanax.
Ah.
And Xanax was the answer for me.
Right.
It was the answer. And so I started selling those too. And my habit was I just had a super high tolerance because I'd been taking them for so long. It's like a year and a half to 2 years. Junior and senior years, just Xanax.
What
Yeah.
year were you born?
85.
Oh, okay. So they were real Xanax.
Yes.
Yeah.
This
You
was
didn't have to
before
worry
we
about
had
the
problems.
fentanyl.
No,
Yeah.
fentanyl wasn't here yet.
Well, I'm not talking about that. There was like a period where people were getting the actual alprazolam powder when I was in high school.
Correct.
And then they were they were putting them into capsules.
Yeah.
And they were like the Blue Devils or whatever.
No,
That's what they
so-
were calling them, something like that.
So we had the blue footballs. We had
Hey,
the
totem
yellow,
poles.
white,
Legitimate
and
Xanax,
green,
yeah.
all Xanax. Yeah.
Sure.
And we were also able to get scripts online. And so we were able to order thousands at a time to a P.O. box.
Wow.
And go pick them up and
Yeah.
punch
Right.
them out and sell them.
Right.
And so they were free, essentially, because I was going to school to sell them. And so I would go to school, make my money or whatever, and just eat Xanax like Skittles.
Yeah.
And it was just everything that was wrong got worse. I quit every sport. I was now a little hustler, and I wasn't thinking about what I was saying or what I was doing. I didn't have any regrets.
Right.
Because I couldn't remember anything.
Sure.
And it's that anti-anxiety, so not only are you calm, I call them the I don't give a.
Oh,
pill.
yeah. And that's true.
Yeah.
And that's true for sure.
All your inhibitions just go away.
Right.
And
That's the thing with like a lot of the pharmaceutical drugs, right? Like
Yeah.
it's not that they do exactly what they're supposed to do. It's that you stop caring. It's like hydrocodone and stuff like that. It doesn't actually relieve the pain. It makes you not give a shit that you're in pain.
Right.
correct. And so those 2 years, I stopped going to school my senior year. I skipped a lot of school and didn't, because I skipped one class the entire second semester, I didn't graduate on time.
And you did something like, I skipped art.
Dude, it was multimedia.
There you go.
Yeah, it
Something
was
cool.
computer.
Something actually kind of cool.
When I
Right.
did it because I got in an argument with her on the first day.
Oh,
and I
okay.
said, I'm never coming back. And I said, I'm a man of my word.
Well, there you go. Dude.
Yeah. So I didn't graduate high school. Then the family's like, hey, there's a real problem. Like, we see what you look like. I had a job. It was like, I know you're doing these things, but this isn't normal.
Right.
People graduate high school in our family. That's not normal.
Right.
And they knew me well enough to go, you're
Going
not
down the
stupid.
wrong path.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I acknowledged that, and I decided I wanted to quit. And I was like, okay, I'll get sober. I had never tried, and so I had no idea. This is when I learned I am what I am.
Yeah.
I am who I am. And I couldn't quit. Physically, mentally, I couldn't do it. And so I decided I was going to kill myself. So I tried to drive off a ledge. They were building this overpass. And I tried to drive off this ledge on my 19th birthday. I went out, and I took like somewhere between 11 and 16 Xanax. And then I drank, or maybe it was like 15 or 20. My habit was 10 to 15 a day.
Yeah.
And on that night, I remember I intentionally took a couple more, drank a bottle of Crown Royalist handle to myself. It was my birthday, so I was carrying around my bottle of Crown. And then,
Well, so at 19, man, you were like, hey, man, I'm done.
yeah.
Wow. So,
Yeah.
I mean, do you think it was just you were unhappy because of all the stuff you were on, or what
So
was it?
There was some stuff going on in my family as well. Like my mom had been sick for a couple years. My parents were having some issues. And
So you had some real life shit going on. Okay.
Yeah. And I was convinced that had a lot to do with me.
Okay.
And
you were taking that blame.
yeah.
Gotcha.
But I mean, that was also a selfish thing. I
Right.
was looking for reasons to say I'm a
Oh,
piece
you're
of
having
shit.
a little pity party for
Yeah.
yourself, right?
Yeah.
Everybody feels sorry for
Yeah.
you, right?
Yeah. There was some legitimacy to I really couldn't take it anymore.
Right.
And I was a quitter,
Yeah.
I look back and it was a cowardly thing to do, and I'm comfortable saying that about myself. I'm comfortable saying that.
Sure.
But I also recognize the real pain and how, God, I wish I could have had a me right now talk to him
Yeah.
before.
Which is great because that's what you do now.
Correct.
Right. I love that.
And so I think about these times because there's a reality to that. It was also a stupid decision, a lot of stupid decisions and things that could have been prevented. But so what?
Yeah.
And so I failed that attempt. Tire blew out before I got to the ledge, and my car spun out and really stopped right on the ledge. So I drove home on 3 tires and parked. This is like 4 a.m. And so my dad wakes up, finds a car, and is like, oh, my God, we need to get you some help. And so a month later, they do some research and find a place. I go to this place out in Canton. I lie to them during intake about how much I'm taking. So I guess whatever the detox protocol they put me on wasn't enough. And so I had a seizure and fell backwards. We're in this place called the Big Barn, where you know how they always have the community center. This is
right.
Big red barn. And so I'm in there in a chair, and I have a seizure and fall backwards, and it's cement. And so I guess I hit my head significantly harder than, I don't know.
Right.
But my heart stops in the middle of the seizure. So they can't find, they go look for the AEDs, whatever.
Yeah, the paddles.
Can't find them. So I guess they do like CPR or something while the ambulance is on the way.
Sure.
So 8 minutes later, the ambulance gets there, and that's when I woke up and I was in the ambulance, and I had my sweatshirt cut open.
Right.
And she was holding those little paddles.
And she was like, don't make me do this again. Right.
She was really friendly,
Right,
really pleasant, because I said, I remember it so vividly. I said, what's up? She was like,
she said, you now.
Yeah, she was like, well, do you know what just happened? I said, no. And she was like, you should lay back down and just relax. And so I did. Then my parents come to the hospital or whatever. I go back to treatment that night, like after I'm stabilized.
Yeah.
I stay there for 3 weeks, talk my way out of it.
Right.
I get my parents to pick me up.
Sure.
This is our first experience.
I'm good now. Yeah, right.
Surely, I almost died.
That's got to be it.
Taking it seriously.
Sure.
I won't do that again. But I got high the night I got home.
What?
I asked my mom for $20. I was like, can I have $20 to go hang out with my friends? Yeah.
Sure.
And I called the first guy I called. It's like, what's up, dude? And he goes, where you been? I was like, I was in rehab. He said, damn, you want to come hit the bong and get barred out? I was like, yeah. And he goes, come over.
Right.
And like, I know that person now, and I love him. He's in a good place. He's a different person. I know me. I love who I am today. And I wasn't thinking about destroying my parents. He wasn't thinking about killing me.
Yeah.
But we were committing to both of those things in that moment with no second thought. And so I went to treatment a year later. I went to my parents. I said, I'm a wreck again. I need to go back and do that again and do it for real. Went through treatment.
Were you living with your parents at this time as well? Okay.
So I was
were they noticing that you were, or
so what I feel is real important about treatment and treatment programs is communication with the parents,
right?
Because it's a family disease, so recovery needs to be a family thing. They were not educated,
right? Well, I love that you said that, because I always say that everybody thinks that it's this person's problem, so they need to do this work, and it's like it's the whole family, and they sometimes they don't get that part. That's
to assume that you lived with these people your entire life and they had no impact on who you've become.
Right. Yeah.
Every time we take a look, every time I do a deep dive with the family, there's connections. There's a way for them to help. There's a way that they're hurting.
Right.
And most always they don't realize it.
Yeah.
And so it's help,
Sure.
And so my parents didn't know. And so they were, they said this is his journey and he's got to figure this thing out.
Right.
He's,
which is true to some extent.
Yeah. But you're right.
Yeah.
And this is where I think also parents get lost, is they're like, we don't want to tell them how to do it. It's like, yeah, but you got to hold them accountable. And we have to someone has to say, hey, you're full of it.
Right.
Bro, like you're lying. You're not doing this. Your behavior does not match what you're saying to me.
Sure.
And so we're master manipulators. So I worked what I could. They were going through their stuff. I used that to my advantage to fade into the back,
Right.
And so that went on for years. After those two, I stopped asking for help. I was asking for help, but different kinds of help. And I was getting arrested a lot. The drugs were getting worse. After the treatment, I never really went back to benzos like I had before.
Okay.
Because they killed me. So I'm stupid and I'm crazy.
Yeah.
But I'm not completely. Not completely.
Well, you had that experience with Xanax, and you were like, okay, well, check that off the list.
Good run.
Yeah.
Been there, done that.
Good ride.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I went to cocaine. I did some psychedelics in there.
Yeah.
I went to cocaine, started using and selling that for a little bit. And then there was an ecstasy phase. And then alcohol's always in here. And then eventually, all these charges later, and now I'm in my mid-20s. methamphetamine, and I just gave everything to that.
Right.
I gave everything to the lifestyle, to the people, and to the drug. And so those were my last couple years. And I was homeless. I was wanted on felony warrants. I got in a high-speed car chase in a stolen vehicle. Almost died I don't know how many times. That was my, they say rock bottom. I don't know, dude. I don't ever refer it to that. It was a very miserable couple years.
Yeah.
Like, I know I had no friends or family, just no relationship.
Sounds like you checked off a bunch of nevers, dude. Right in a row.
Right.
Yeah, that last 2 years, I really gave it everything I had.
Yeah.
Because I was sold I was going to make you motherfuckers understand that I can do this.
Right.
Yeah.
I can navigate.
I can't.
Yeah.
I can't be the best of the best, dude. So I'm gonna be the worst of the
Yeah,
worst.
it's like, do you know who you're talking to?
Yeah.
That type of stuff.
Right.
And so I got arrested on March 29th, 2013.
Okay, so let's pause right there, and then we'll get to the rest of it, and then talk about the book. And I know that ties in with the incarceration as well. But anyway, we've got our lovely sponsor, Max the Axe, with thispinklawyer.com. If you go to thispinklawyer.com, it will take you to the Lone Star Injury Attorneys, and he practices law in I was waiting for you to do that. It was kind of throwing me off that you weren't echoing.
Shut up.
But he practices in Texas and California. So hit him up, Max the Axe, Lone Star Injury Attorney
in California.
Hey, and then we also have some new music on Spotify.
We're not done with the Max the Axe, dude.
Yeah, we were.
No, we're not. Max rhymes with axe, dude. Max rhymes with axe. That's a clever name. Tell the guy he has a clever name.
Well, actually, Max actually called himself that to me. So then I was like, okay, cool.
Max, if you're out there listening, dude, you have a clever name, and Kelly won't admit it.
No, I did.
Kelly didn't admit it.
Kelly
won't admit it.
I completely
No, he
did.
didn't.
Yeah.
Anyways.
But anyway, we got some new music that is streaming on Spotify. Yeah, and we got some free downloads. So why don't you hit it?
We're just going to let this one ride.
Take my time. I have all the time in the world to make you mine. It is written in the stars above. Got me crazy.
All right.
So those
And
are
we
some
back.
of the new tracks that we have released, and we just want to give a huge shout out to number one, the best artist in the entire United world, and that is Madonna. Oh my God, we love Madonna so much. Number two, we love Tom Sam, the Tom Sam's the grocery store. And then number three is we like the electronic, the music, the beep boops. We love that stuff. And Depeche Mode, oh, that's so good.
I knew the caffeine had to kick in at some point. Woo! And it just did. It just did, everybody. Anyway, yeah, those are available on Spotify. Actually, the Let This One Ride is available on Spotify, all streaming platforms. For the Depeche Mode, you can go to my SoundCloud and download it. It's free.
Says the Depeche Mode is a free.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
It is
all right,
free
well,
for you.
let's get back to Neal's story, because I know Neal is a busy guy. And we all want to, obviously plug your book, but it has a lot to do with your incarceration. So we were at 2013. You get incarcerated for your first time.
Right. So that's well, not the first time in jail. That's for sure.
Wow.
This was
Up the river.
Yeah. This
Right.
is how I got sober. That day right before that, I'd woken up, sleeping in the bushes, and really having one of those moments where, is this it? Like, is this what I'm living for? And so on March 29th, on that day, I prayed. I decided to pray. I didn't really believe in anything at that time.
Okay.
but I just had that moment where like, okay, if you're real, I need some help. And so I prayed that prayer. I prayed it out loud, sitting outside, and I got arrested later that night. And so for me, that was a response.
Right.
And it was what I needed.
It is what they refer to some people, the foxhole prayer.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it definitely was. And I had what people describe as a spiritual experience. I had one of my first significant spiritual experiences right then or that day. And so I get arrested, go to jail, call my parents, tell them where I am and what's going on, and just kind of sit. And so sleep and eat for 3 weeks, come to and decided I really wanted to do better. Like I was serious this time. I wasn't worried about when I get out. I was worried about how do I change?
Fix this?
Yeah, how do I be different? And so my dad committed to visiting me and writing me on a regular basis. And instead of just killing time and making small talk, he committed to helping me become the man I wanted to be. And so our letters and our visits we memorized verses together. We studied verses together. He gave me topics to write essays on.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did books. So we would read and discuss chapter by chapter these books I was reading. They weren't just regular books. They were novels.
Okay.
I was reading A Strength to Love by Martin Luther King Jr., Mere Christianity by C.S. Lewis, Wild at Heart by John Eldridge. I was really getting into the thick of it, and I was reading books about love. I was trying to understand my spirituality. I was trying to understand what it means to be a man, not just be a dude, and not just be a guy out here figuring it out. I wanted to be a man with purpose. And so I didn't just want to become a better person. I wanted to equip myself to be in a real position of influence in this world.
Right.
And so that's a tall order.
Sure.
And when I told that to my dad, he took me very seriously, and he's the best for that.
Well, yeah, and it sounds like he was actually nurturing that.
Yes.
So, yeah, that's cool.
And so that is the book.
Yeah, so here, let's get a shot of this. How is it? Do I need to put it? No, it is.
That's a good shot, dude.
Yeah, there.
Hey, man, that's a good
Great
shot.
job.
And shout out. There's your dad on the back.
There you
Shout
go,
out,
man.
Shout
Yeah.
out to Rex.
Yeah.
The legend.
Yeah. So,
The living legend.
oh, wait. Hold on. I think we did this last time where Chad read.
You smell it?
No, Chad.
Oh, dude, yeah, I read something
No,
and
he
oh my
chatted.
God. I forgot about this.
Hold on. Chad will read a passage in the voice of Morgan Freeman just randomly.
Oh, man. Well, the one we did last time was about the
It was-
shoes
well,
or
dude,
something.
maybe-
Was it?
Or was, no, it was the underwear.
It was the underwear. Yeah, let's hear it as
All right,
Morgan
let's
Freeman.
find... No, man. I wish I could find the underwear one again, dude. Because this is all like super intense.
I know, you got to find one that's not so serious.
All right, here we go, dude. That's from. Here we go.
Don't go around Christmas.
No. Oh well, this is right after Thanksgiving. Good point, dude. Good point. Yeah, no holidays, baby. All right. Man, that's a book. All right, cool. Here we go, dude.
All right.
This one sounds like it's gonna be serious,
as Morgan
too,
Freeman.
All right, dude.
If it gets emotional, just cut it off.
October 24th, 2013. Hey, Dad. I liked hearing your thoughts on the book of Habakkuk. In verse 5, parentheses, chapter 1, the first part spoke to you more than the second sentence, which is the part that spoke to me. For I am going to do something in your days that you would not believe, even if you were told. There you go.
All right,
you try to
dude.
make it funny, but that verse.
Yeah, it's
That was
intense,
powerful.
dude.
Okay, so
I could, dude. I somehow on the last one, I somehow flipped to something that would sound funny with Morgan Freeman.
know.
That one just sounded massive.
God
dude.
had other plans.
Hell
There
yeah.
you go.
There's another verse that's on my leg, and it says, "Now to Him who is able to do more than we can ask or imagine," because then that was the commitment. And this is so the book is a compilation of our letters with some context. And so
Right,
you
and
really
it's
get to see that
you.
stuff.
It's kind of you. Also, your dad kept all the letters,
Yes.
and you subsequently kept his letters as well. So
yeah, so we both. We weren't planning on that.
Yeah,
it
right.
just happened. So That's the cool part
And
about
that's
it.
the kind of where the letters home ties
Yes.
in. And where is this book available?
It's on Amazon.
Okay. so-
Amazon. That's the only place it is.
Okay.
Letters
And-
Home, A
okay.
Journey into Recovery.
Okay, and we're working with Chad to read it as Morgan Freeman for an audiobook, right?
Yeah, that would be working on that. In the works.
Yeah, right. But so then you're in prison. Your dad's giving you assignments and everything. So where does it go from there?
So instead of going to prison, they sent me I was in county for about a year, and then they sent me to a corrections facility. It's a program like Safe P kind of.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's dependent on if you complete the program. So
It's not around anymore, is it?
I think this one still is.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, it's out in San Angelo.
What's it called?
Roy K. Robb. So there's two.
Uh-huh.
There's a 6 month and a 9 month, or a 6 phase and a 9 phase. One's called CRTC and one's called SATF.
Okay.
They're just treatment programs in the corrections facility.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Well,
so-
it is involuntary.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so if you
Right.
leave, you can leave.
You
but
can
you get
leave,
You
yeah.
can get
Yeah.
a real escape charge, and also I would go to prison.
Yeah.
So I didn't have a choice.
Right.
It was you're going to do this or you're.
Keep coming back. It works because you have to.
Yeah, the lowest offer they'd given me was 7 years prior to that.
Oh, yeah.
And I even asked for 5, and they were like, no. And I was like,
Right. So you're looking at 7 years
Right.
or work this program.
Yeah, and truthfully, they probably wouldn't, but they could convict me of 10 because that was the maximum.
Right.
So had I left, they said you can potentially get 10 years.
Right.
So anyways, I needed to do it. I wanted to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So I did the program. I completed it, but then what do I do? And so a buddy of mine who's in a 12-step program had visited me while I was locked up, and I liked what he had going on in his life. And so I knew to look to him, and I said, what do I do?
Mm-hmm.
He got me a sponsor. A guy sponsored me over the phone until I found where I was going to live because I didn't have anywhere to live still. My brother let me stay in his spare room. But then I decided, okay, I'm going to go back out to West Texas because I don't know anybody out there, and I can start over.
Fresh start.
Right. And so I got a sponsor. I called somebody, and I said, hey, do you have a sponsor in San Angelo? And they said, yeah. And so they gave me a guy's number. He's the first person I called when I got out there.
Uh-huh.
I met with him, started working steps, got a room in a halfway house,
Okay.
paying $150 a week.
Yeah.
Worked at a car wash, went to meetings, went to work, went to church, went to the grocery store. stayed
How old
my
are
ass
you at
home.
this time?
27.
Uh-huh. Okay.
27. So I convicted felon, no college education, no real work experience, just a bunch of odd jobs
Right.
and selling drugs.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had nothing, and I really didn't know what I was gonna do.
Sure.
Um,
Well, you didn't know what you wanted to do.
No.
Yeah.
And I really didn't. I still didn't feel good about myself.
Right, of
you
course.
know?
Yeah.
Dressed in Walmart, almost 30 with nothing to show, and I can't
Sure.
comb my hair.
Right. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So all the stuff, career, a family, all those things were kind of like, don't know if I'll ever get those.
Right. Well, and it's crazy to like all of a sudden, in sobriety to feel your feelings and
Yeah.
then to be where on that level of where you can actually sit and be okay, with who you are. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay.
That's exactly
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
And so I immersed myself in the 12-step program. That's
Mm-hmm.
how I found direction. That's how I found friends. I made some friends doing powerlifting and stuff.
Mhm.
But by working the steps and doing service work and just doing my best at work, I found my path.
Mm-hmm.
And so after building a career, I had a really nice career, and it was only going to get better. But 5 years into that, I realized that, I want to be doing something different, and I want to be helping people.
Sure.
And so that's how I started what I do now.
Right. And that is actually called Elevated Lifestyle Academy.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so if they go to elevatedlifestyleacademy.com, they can look up more about it. But why don't you go ahead and tell us
Yeah.
what kind of services you offer, and is there is it expensive or is
Yeah.
it and or do you also scholarship and
Sure.
just tell us about the gist of it.
Yeah, absolutely. So we provide case management, coaching, and consulting services. So sometimes we're helping families find treatment and understand what kind of help they need. Other times we are walking with them through that or just a particular phase. So we do a lot of aftercare work. So after people have been to treatment and they come back and they're looking to put a new life together, but they don't know how to do that. So we help adolescents and young men do that. We help families understand what kind of support they need to be providing and where they would go to find those resources. We're not covered by insurance. We're private pay only. We're not cheap. We offer a very thorough service.
Sure.
And but we always have a family on the caseload who can't afford our services, and I stay plugged in with several nonprofits. I say several. There's 3 that I really like, and I volunteer with those.
Okay.
And so we have very deep connections.
Would you like to give them a shout out?
Yeah,
go
absolutely.
ahead,
The
please.
Men of Nehemiah is
Oh,
right here
yeah,
in
We
Dallas.
love
Boom.
the Men of Nehemiah.
Men
Yeah,
of
for sure.
Nehemiah is one of my favorites. Prison entrepreneurship program
Okay.
is another one I really like. The stuff, those 2 programs are doing some amazing things.
Sure.
And then there's another one called True North. True North is retreats. They're men's retreats.
Okay.
And so those guys help me help a lot of people, and I'm still involved in a 12-step program. So there's just the network is deep.
Sure. Yeah.
Anybody-
Well, and you're out there also going
Yes.
to H&Is, which
Yeah.
is hospital and institutions for those that don't know what H&I is.
And that's what the coolest thing about working in this industry is. This was my life.
Yeah.
Recovery was my life for several years before. So, yeah, good and bad. You have to be careful. You
Yeah.
have to be careful, but it's made it cool. So
Right.
it's-
Yeah, learning how to separate your recovery from everybody else's is very interesting. And
Yeah.
I see a lot of people crash and burn because they do it too quickly.
Paid sponsorships.
Yeah. They do it too quickly or whatever, and they're just like, it's tough, dude. It's tough because then you're taking on compassion fatigue, all sorts of other stuff, dude. You see people's
Yes.
stories and you're like, fuck, dude.
Well, but
and
a
then
lot
your
of
heart breaks for a lot of people and
Yeah.
then this and that.
Well,
so
a
a lot
lot-
of people, there's a difference between working in recovery and really wanting to work in
Oh my God,
recovery.
yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
You got to
Well-
protect
well-
your time, your family. Yeah.
I think a lot of people do it and go overboard with it, and like you said, compassion fatigue. But
That's-
I
that's
think
real.
I think
Oh, yeah.
they,
Happens
but
a
I
lot.
think they do that also to avoid working with their own shit.
Yeah, dude. It's
I'd
easier
rather-
for me to fix
I'd-
your problems.
I'd rather clean your side of the street than deal with
If
the
I've got
shithole
15
behind
families,
you.
I don't have time for me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Y'all are all sicker than me.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's dangerous.
So what do you say to family members and stuff like that come to you, like, or how does it work? Like, how does somebody besides just
So a lot of my families come from referrals.
Referrals,
People
okay.
I work with. So I have a bunch of colleagues who do different stuff.
Mhm.
And so we make sure that the families are talking to the right person.
Mhm.
But it always starts with a consultation call. I get calls from families who have never talked to a treatment center or a clinician.
Right.
I get ones who have never talked to anyone outside the school or church.
Right.
And so I always ask them, where are you at?
Right.
What's happening?
Yeah.
What have you tried? And where are you today?
That is kind of like being an RSPS, which is your big part of it is you're a resource broker. you know?
I have to do that. That's part of what I like. I know there's a lot of folks who do that, and bless them.
Right.
That's definitely part of it.
Mhm.
Figuring out, because a lot of people don't know what they need.
Well, yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, it's overwhelming when you're a parent out there, or I can imagine, and your kid's messed up because I mean, there's no set plan for recovery. You know what
Right.
I mean? Everyone's different. So, like
Yeah.
what you said, you got to see where they're at.
And that's
Yeah.
like a big thing too, because my mom was talking about that when she was on the show. That there was no resources for families about what was going on, especially like with my car wreck and then the addiction part. Until she got introduced to the right people and then started doing like an FA group and stuff like that.
Yep.
And that's when times got tough for me because they're like, "Fuck you, dude." You know what I mean?
Right.
You got to. This is an issue, and you keep using us, and blah blah blah, and they need
Yeah.
to step back and all that. And they handled it like remarkably well,
Right.
remarkably
That's
well,
good.
because I'm here now. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So
Right.
something worked.
Right.
But
Yeah.
the other thing that's really cool about all this is you were talking earlier about I wish I would have had somebody to speak to me. I wish I would have had me now to speak to me back then.
Yeah.
And all that stuff. But the cool thing is about all of that is now all of that stuff and all the shit and all the worst times and the best times and all that stuff turned into experience that you learned how to use for the younger Neals.
Right.
You know what I mean? So had you not gone through all of that stuff to be where you're at today, like, yeah, dude, life could have been way different. But, dude, they talk about, like, purpose. You know what I mean? After everything you've been through.
So you asked dude, I use my social media to tell that story.
Right.
Like, that's what I'm doing with my social media. And it is helping me connect with, dude, I have young guys who message me all the time.
Right.
And so I want them to see that this lifestyle is attractive. I want them to know that people understand, and I want them to know that it's not over. It hasn't even begun.
Yeah, sure.
You know?
Yeah, because I mean, you were at a desperation point at 19, and
Thought
then
it was the end.
Yeah, and then also at 30. You know,
I was a decade away
Yeah.
from the beginning of the rest of my life.
Yeah, it's insane. I mean, but it's also, you know, if you're not thinking right, it's like overwhelming, or it can be in those situations like you were in.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And a lot of the stuff you were saying too is like, you know, the very end of the first 164, it says, you know, God will constantly disclose more to you and to us.
A vision for you.
Yeah, man. And it's just been like that. It's like a fact I can state to. You know what I mean? It's not just you. It's not just me. I see it happen all the time with people, man.
Yeah.
And what's really cool about what you're doing though is it's a multiple like pathway to recovery thing, because it's not AA's not end all be all.
Right.
for
Like what we
everybody.
were talking
Right.
about earlier, it's, you know, there's not one set.
Yeah.
recovery.
And that was a learning
This
experience
is
for
how-
me, like
this is
5,
how you
6 years
recover.
in.
Yeah.
I had to learn that.
Right.
I'm glad y'all brought that up.
Well, yeah. So,
And another thing we can talk about really quick,
Yeah,
so
sure.
that the listeners can know. I know we've talked about it several times on the show, but alcohol withdrawal and benzodiazepine withdrawal can fucking kill
oh
you.
yeah,
Detox.
yeah,
And
big
opiates
time.
and everything
have
else make you
medical
want
detox.
to die.
Yeah.
Right.
But those can actually kill you. And
Yeah,
it
for
just
sure.
happens out of nowhere.
Right. And as a professional, it's a rule of thumb.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
when they are using those two, we're going to detox.
Yeah.
Come on, detox.
Medical detox.
Don't care if you
right.
say you don't want to. Like,
Yeah.
what we're doing,
Too
bro.
bad.
Right. Yeah.
That's where we're
yeah,
headed.
Yeah.
So,
So that's crazy. But you were actually in medical detox when that happened, right? Or not?
I
Was
guess
it
I would.
just-
Yeah, I was on watch. Like,
Okay.
you know how they let you walk around with
Yeah.
people, but
Right.
they're like, that one.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
yeah.
I was
yeah.
the slides.
You got the little yellow socks,
Yeah,
dude.
yeah.
Right.
There you go.
Well, okay. So, and also, like, speaking of that, like, so you mentioned it, and you also alluded to it. What would you say to the 19-year-old Neal now?
Why not try something different? You
Right.
know, I was looking for answers.
Mm-hmm.
Why not try something different?
Right.
And what's the worst that can happen? I always tell them, like, bro, it's gonna be there for you when you get out. If you
Sure,
wanna
they're
go
not
back.
gonna. Right. Drugs will be there.
The losers
Right.
are, well, some of them have died off.
Yeah.
Some of them are locked up in a hole.
Right.
You know, and these are people I loved and cared about.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them I still do.
Yeah.
But yeah, why not try something different? It's so nice to take a break from the misery, and it's so nice to have that opportunity. And so if you do have an opportunity to give it a shot, why not see what it's about? I was never hesitant to try a new drug.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Never.
Sure.
And it didn't matter who it came from.
Right.
So
Which is super dangerous to nowadays.
you
We
can't play.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think I would have made it now.
Yeah.
I was too. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, a pill on
Yeah.
the
Let's go.
a pill on the ground.
Shaped
Here,
like
let
Bart
me-
Simpson.
Right.
Badass.
Yeah, and I got a call on my way up here asking about somebody that I know, and then it was also somebody that knew one of the guys that was working with me who ended up passing away from a drug that wasn't even his like drug of choice.
Yeah, it
you
wasn't
know,
even
when he
his
went back
DOC,
out.
right.
And like there's still unanswered questions about that. Like, was he really trying to do that, or was it just something else?
Well,
and
and
that's
it's-
like the harsh reality nowadays, dude. Everything has that shit in it.
Yeah.
There's things popping up every day with
And-
people that are celebrities fucking dying.
Oh yeah, yeah,
You know
yeah.
what I mean?
It's
Overdose
scary.
left
well,
and right.
and also people that don't have any kind of history of drug use.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm just going to experiment like we
Yeah.
do as kids.
Right.
You know, fentanyl, and then now what's even scarier is xylazine. You know, so that's even like Narcan. resistant, because it's not even an opioid.
And it also can cause gigantic open wounds because it is incredibly toxic. Incredibly. It's incredibly toxic for
Right.
like humans. It's like an animal tranquilizer, and it's supposed to be short term. But it's like you see Philadelphia and you see all these other cases. Dude, it's causing like massive infections
Yeah.
like in your skin and just holes. That
I was
open up.
Googling images of crocodile
it's the
4
same
years
kinda
ago,
shit,
and this
dude.
is it. This is the same stuff.
Yeah.
It has that same
Yeah.
xylazine stuff in it.
Yeah.
That's what the fucking
It's gnarly.
doctors thought like I had been doing.
Oh,
when I
really?
went to the hospital, they were like, "What are you doing? Have you
into
been
the
doing
crocodile?"
fucking crocodile?"
Right.
I was
it's
like,
pretty
dude,
bad.
no.
Yeah,
I
no,
remember
Yeah.
because it was like unheard of here.
Yeah.
It's like it's on the way though.
Right.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Scary stuff.
Anyways.
But I love what you're doing now.
you. Yeah, man.
I love what you're doing.
Thank you very much.
And if they want to get a hold of you, just go to the elevatedlifestyleacademy.com and there's the about
There's a form,
section.
yeah.
And they can reach out and just contact you and do a consultation and hopefully you can help them out.
Give me a
You know
call.
what I mean?
Yeah, I'd love to.
And then I always like to give the guest a chance, an opportunity to shout out anybody they'd like.
Okay, so and I'm going to do this again. Men of Nehemiah,
Yep.
the Prison Entrepreneurship
Right.
Program, True North Retreats. I know From Beer to the Bible is another really cool foundation. I like those people; they're wonderful.
Right.
The greatest gifts in my life now, as a result of recovery,
Right.
my wife and my son.
Right.
Dude, yeah, just
Wife's name?
Antoinette. And my
Antoinette?
son
I like
Bryce.
that. Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Be
So-
careful, dude. There was a French lady named that one time. I used to
I
behead people, dude.
We talk about that.
Right. Marie Antoinette.
No, she's normal. She doesn't even have the problem that we're talking about today. She's
She's a normie.
amazing.
Yeah.
She's a nurse saving people's lives.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, I was
That's
saved
a
by many
superhero
nurses.
team right there, dude.
She's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, for sure. Well, cool. Well, thanks for coming
Thank you guys
on.
for having me.
Yeah, and then I'm excited. Next week we've got Lyndon.
Lindell.
Lindell. Sorry, Lindell.
Sorry, this is my grandpa. He's old.
Lindell
My
Keith,
grandpa's old.
Lindell Keith Woodruff, and it's going to be part 2 because his part 1 was just insane. Yeah, it was out there. So looking forward to that. Hey, remember, please like, subscribe, share, blah blah blah, all of that stuff. It does make a difference if you do, because that's how the show grows. Anyway, just remember, kids, there is no magic pill for sobriety, because if there was, we would all take too many.
Activate.